5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes.
Hello, welcome back. So before we get into things, I'd like to say I have a few more videos coming up this week. A drone video, a phone video, an Arsenal video, because they came out with an update, which I'm working on today, which is why if I'm wearing the same clothes in that video, it's because I just got done with this one. Anyways, back to the 7D. Very valid camera, very relevant. Here's why. First off, the price, obviously. Now, not to say you can pick one up for as cheap as I did, but I got this for $80 off of KH as is. No battery, just the body, had no clue if it worked. Long story short, I have a ton of LPE6 batteries laying around my house because they're freaking old at this point, and popped it in and we were good to go. Now I did pick up this battery grip as well off of Amazon for about 30 bucks. So altogether I put about $150 in the system. This lens I found for about 40 bucks as well. So yes, very cheap system. Now that's not to say you can find this camera for $80 like I did unless you scrounge the internet for weeks. But the going price for a Canon 7D in today's market is $200 give or take, and that's a fantastic deal for what you get. Now what do you get with a 7D? Well, you have an 18 megapixel crop sensor, weather sealed body, and access to one of the largest, if not the largest, camera lens selections this freaking earth has ever seen. Alright, low light test video with the Canon 7D. Right now I have the Canon 17 to 55 f2.8 EFS lens mounted on the camera. And that's one of the reasons that I really recommend this one over a full frame Canon, especially at this age, because not only does Canon have legendary L glass, but a lot of these old EFS glasses are fair play as well. They're very sharp and fun to use. I mean, one downside of this is obviously it's a fixed screen, so it's hard to do this kind of vlogging kind of stuff, but I mean, hopefully it still pans out. I can't see what I'm filming, but you be the judge. Alright, so we're out here with the Canon 7D. Obviously we're not filming with it because it's right here. I wanted to take some fall pictures, and of course it's not a nice day out and the fall colors are waning, but whatever, happens every single year. Looks like it's gonna rain, but the good thing about the Canon 7D is that the body is weather sealed, so you can take it out in inclement weather, so if it does start downpouring, you're good to go. Now the 7D was one of the first pioneering cameras of hybrid shooting, meaning that you can do photos and videos on the same device. But to today's standards, it's kind of what the opposite of the market is dictating. It's a DSLR with a crop sensor. It's not a compact full frame mirrorless system like we're seeing a lot of, but that's a good thing for me. Reason being is because it is a crop sensor EF mount, you have access to, like I said, the largest lens selection that this earth probably has ever seen. By going the route of the Canon 7D or any Canon crop sensor, you can build a respectable lens family for a reasonable price. Now, lenses I recommend with a camera like this would be the 50mm f1.8. You can't go wrong with a kit lens, especially one with in-body stabilization, being that this has none of that in the house of this body. Also, they have the Canon 10 to 18 wide angle, which is great for landscape shots and vlogging, but being that this is a fixed screen, it's kind of hard to do that. So on the film side of things, the 7D can show its age because it's a full HD camera that caps out at 30 frames per second. But honestly, you really don't need much more than that if you're only posting to the web. It's nice to have slow-mo, which is something this camera doesn't have unless you want to export in 24 frames per second and use that 80% slow motion you can do in Premiere. Another thing that doesn't make this an awesome choice for filming or vlogging stuff would be the autofocus. It's just single. Am I focused? Autofocus with the Canon 7D. Not that a full-fledged filmmaker is going to be using stuff like autofocus on their films, but it's just nice to have, especially if you're doing run and gun web stuff. But on the flip side of this, the reason you might want to get a 7D for film work is because of Magic Lantern, the third-party plugin that really unlocks a lot of potential for old Canon systems like the 7D. So if you get Magic Lantern, you can get 2.5K resolution and 14-bit RAW recording, as well as a host of other features. We'll get into that in another video, so we'll just keep it stock Canon 7D for this one. So the 7D is at a solid price for light video work, prosumer to faux professional grade photography, and even pro photography to an extent. Mind you, your gear doesn't make you the pro, your skill set does. So in closing, if I were to cater this camera to anybody, it'd be first off people like me, because I can relate to me the most. Hoarders on a mirrorless system who have a ton of EF glass but want native connection. Photographers of any skill set, but especially beginners who are just dipping their toes into the water of photography and want a good base. I really think this is a good choice for, say, wildlife photographers, because you do benefit from a crop. You have 8 frames per second continuous shooting and a weather-resistant body. So yes, in 2020 and beyond, this is still a good choice for hybrid shooters or anybody who's looking for a nice solid camera. The Canon 7D is just fine. That's it for now. Thank you for watching, and subscribe for more.